Okay, welcome to today's conference, Serving Your Communities Year-Round, linking HUD public housing authorities and the child nutrition programs. All audio lines have been muted until Q&A portion of the call. Please be sure you have opened the chat panel using the associated icon located at the bottom of your screen. You may submit questions via the chat during the presentation, and they will be addressed at each Q&A section. When submitting a written question, select all panelists from the drop-down menu in the chat panel, enter your question in the message box provided, and send. If you need technical assistance, please send a chat to the event producer. And as a reminder, this conference is being recorded. With that, I'll turn the call over to Maria Lana Queen, Public Housing Program Manager. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am representing the Department of Housing and Urban Development, Office of Public and Indian Housing, Community and Supportive Services Division. And I'd like to welcome you to this afternoon's today's discussion, sponsored by our federal partner, USDA. And today's subject will focus on how you all, as public housing authorities, can be further connected to child nutrition programs. And so we have a number of wonderful opportunities to present to you today, and we hope that for those of you all who have not yet registered for some of these programs, that we will make it easier for you to do so by sending this information today. And we look forward to your continued efforts to serve low-income families during this time and to ensure that all have access to nutritional meals. Just as a reminder, today's program or webinar will be recorded, and also afterwards we will follow up to provide you that recording as well as the slide deck. So the other thing is that we want to save questions towards the end. However, there is a chat feature. Feel free to send in your questions and or feedback using that chat. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Vaniqua Stewart, representing USDA. She's a program analyst, and she will begin the discussion. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Marielana. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Vaniqua Stewart, and I'm here with my colleague, Melissa Daigle-Katz. And as Marielana mentioned, we're program analysts with the USDA Food and Nutrition Service Community Meals Branch, which is in our Child Nutrition Programs Division.
And I'm Pascal Jean, and I'm here with Stephanie Roberts, and we're program analysts with the USDA Food and Nutrition Service Office of Community Food Systems, and also in the Child Nutrition Program Division. Our goal is to get you excited about the opportunity to feed our communities and connect them with the farm-to-school activities, even during these challenging times. So let's get started.
So here's what Melissa and I are going to accomplish today around child nutrition programs, specifically the community meals programs. We'll discuss how public housing authorities are really great partners for feeding kids using these programs. And we'll give you an overview and comparison of two key community meals programs that are important for supporting children's well-being. And that's the Summer Food Service Program, or SFSP, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program At-Risk After-School Component, or CACFP At-Risk for short. We'll introduce you to the key players involved in program delivery and remind you of the USDA resources to help you prepare to get started. And of course, we'll leave time at the end of the presentation for your questions.
Hello, everyone. This is Melissa. Let's talk a bit about the housing and community meals connection. We all know that children need nutritious meals and snacks every day of the year to grow and be healthy. And how can we ensure that children are food secure every day, even when school or child care is not in session? Well, the solution is already available to us. We are here to get you all excited about the options that are available to public housing authorities and to challenge you to get them going in your community. We think that you're the perfect partners to help deliver community meals programs, that is, Summer Food Service Program and CACFP at risk. Since you serve families right where they live, that means children go downstairs to get their meal instead of walking to another location or having their parents drive them. And parents can feel assured that their children are safe. Many housing units, as you know, have common spaces like dining or community rooms for serving meals, and some housing units have kitchens where food can be prepared or stored. And also, housing units are likely to have residents seeking employment. Our programs offer the opportunity for seasonal or part-time employment. Both programs are available for housing authorities to add to their existing services.
So even though both of these programs serve children in their communities, the two programs are distinct. So let's talk a bit about their differences and their similarities. Let's start with the Summer Food Service Program. So SFSP ensures that kids receive nutritious meals and snacks when school is not in session, and that includes summer vacation and if school's closed due to an emergency like a snowstorm or a teacher's strike. SFSP also serves meals in settings like parks or housing sites where, under normal circumstances, children can eat together. All summer meals are free of charge to participating children. Okay, so let's talk about what kind of meal sites are allowed. So open sites are open to any child who comes to receive a meal. To be eligible to operate as an open site, the site needs to be located in an area where at least 50% of the children residing there are eligible for free or reduced price meals in the National School Lunch Program. Then there are restricted open sites, and those allow sponsors operating an open site to restrict or limit participation due to reasons of space, security, safety, or control. And that site must also be located in an area where at least 50% of the children residing there are eligible for free or reduced price meals. Next are closed enrolled sites, which are only open to enrolled children or an identified group of children as opposed to the community at large. And those are usually established where a program provides recreational, cultural, religious, or other types of organized activities for a specific group of children. Or there's an identified group of needy children that live in a pocket of poverty within a wealthier area. And SFSP sponsors can also operate sites which predominantly serve children of migrant workers. And the sites operate like an open or restricted open site, and they're reimbursed for meals served to all attending children. Your state agency can work with you to determine which site types would be most appropriate for your situation. The SFSP has certain meal requirements, and some of the major requirements include sites have the option to serve breakfast, lunch, or snack, and serve them in certain combinations. Meals served must follow our SFSP meal pattern, which requires that you serve nutritious and well-balanced meals with food served in minimum serving sizes. And meals must be served on-site, and children must eat them on-site. Note on that later, and meals must be served directly to the child.
Now let's talk about at-risk after-school programs. They provide a safe place to be with friends while parents work, and they provide activities that are fun and educational. They're only run during the school year, not during the summer. Some are run by schools, other by local government agencies, camps, or nonprofit organizations. And they're generally located at schools, community centers, and libraries, and they can be run by public housing authorities. They serve children up to 18 years of age, and they can serve one meal or a meal and a snack. And now the USDA is reimbursing for suppers. Sponsors can provide a really substantial nutrition benefit to kids. So CACFP at-risk programs are only for children in low-income areas. And for ease of determining eligibility, the requirements for sites are similar to that of an open site in the summer program. That is, a site must be located in the attendance area of a school where at least 50% or more of the children in the area are eligible for free or reduced price meals in the National School Lunch Program. Sponsors should be aware that the CACFP at-risk program must include supervised, educational, or enrichment activities that are open to all who attend the program. Children don't actually have to participate in the activities to receive their meal, but they should have the opportunity to participate. And when we say activity, we mean a real activity, something that can really keep kids engaged. Some good examples are arts and crafts, homework assistance, life skills, remedial education, or organized fitness. And some of these sound like activities that housing units may already offer to their residents, right? Now, let's talk about weekends and holidays. If approved by the state agency and the sponsor's application, CACFP at-risk sites can offer 2 snacks or a meal and a snack during weekends or holidays like spring break during the school year. Meals and snacks served on weekends or holidays may be served at any time of day. That's any meal, breakfast, lunch, snack, or supper, as approved by the state agency. And now with so many parents working on weekends, being able to provide supervised care and a meal and a snack are really a major support for families. Now, as we mentioned, or as Vanika mentioned, SFSP can be used to feed kids during emergency situations when schools are closed. COVID-19 has caused a lot of schools to either close or switch to remote classes. And as you'd expect, the COVID-19 pandemic has really changed how we run the SFSP and at-risk programs. Until June 30th of this year, FNS, that's our agency, is allowing state agencies and their sponsors to flex certain program requirements. The most significant ones, which allow for a to-go meal service, are listed here. The flexibilities recognize that children need more nutrition support than ever before, and they ensure that our program honors the need for social distancing.
Now, it's important to know how your organization would fit into the community meals programs if you'd like to participate. The Summer Food Service Program and CACFP at-risk are federally funded, state-administered, and locally operated programs. So there are 3 major players for both programs: state agencies, sponsors, and sites. State agencies are responsible for all administrative and financial requirements of the program and provide monitoring and training and technical assistance to all sponsors. To participate in the SFSP or CACFP at-risk, sponsor organizations must sign an agreement with the state agency, which outlines the responsibility of both the state and the sponsor. So as a sponsor, the state agency is really your go-to contact. Sponsor organizations are responsible for a wide range of functions, including overseeing the sites and site staff and reporting to the state agency for reimbursements for the meals that are served at sites. The site maintains responsibility for serving meals, so that's where children can sit and eat in a safe and supervised environment, and provides enrichment activities for participating children. A site can be a whole host of different places, both indoors or outdoors. The programs work best when communities are able to identify specific locations where children can gather and eat a meal together and play. CACFP at-risk and the SFSP both play important roles at different times of the year. When utilized effectively, they have the potential to reach children outside of school when their nutritional needs might not otherwise be met. Between CACFP at-risk and SFSP, we have the best chance to make sure that children receive nutritious meals year-round. And there's good reason for you to consider offering year-round service by operating both programs. You benefit from having the ability to hire year-round staff who are more likely to stay with the organization and remain well-trained, receive a steady flow of reimbursements that provide additional financial stability, and you'll have recognition by families in the community as a stable source of services. Communities benefit by having a partner that provides year-round nutrition services for children and brings increased federal funds into the local economy. And states will benefit from working with known program operators who are accustomed to federal program regulations. Now, we understand that following requirements for 2 programs can be complicated. So USDA has program flexibilities that are available to help you be successful. For complete information on these flexibilities, please see these memoranda on our website at the web addresses on this slide and contact your state agency.
Naturally, we have plenty of guidance to help you prepare to run a community meals program. For our summer food service program, we have a summer food website. It's the first place to go to get program information of all kinds. And that goes for CACFP at-risk too. Ready to learn all the details of administering our program? Check out our guidance documents, which contain all of the program requirements. Those are the SFSP Administration Guide and our CACFP At-Risk After-School Meals Guide. And the web addresses for those are right there on the slide for you. Also, make sure to check out our Summer Meals Toolkit too. This toolkit gives state administrators, program operators, and community partners creative ideas and resources to make summer meal planning easy. With so many pages of tips and best practices, it's your go-to guide when you're either starting from scratch or upping your summer program. We especially want to highlight our Summer Food Summer Moves resource kit for summer meal site operators, which includes an operator activity guide with nutrition education activities and kid-friendly recipes, posters, flyers, and handouts for parents. The kit is available in both English and Spanish. You'll also find some great one-pagers that focus in on important topics with easy-to-understand guidance for your summer and at-risk programs.
We also have a great mapping tool called the Capacity Builder, which allows users to visualize layers of information such as area eligibility data, existing sites, and potential site locations, including multifamily housing units. The Capacity Builder is a really powerful tool that you can use to identify areas where summer meal access is limited and potential opportunities for growth. We also have a companion data tool called the Area Eligibility Mapper, and that allows users to confirm eligibility of potential summer meal sites in both urban and rural areas.
Now, Benita and I want to make sure that you are ready to take the next step towards participating in the community meals programs. Now, while we at USDA have a ton of awesome resources to help you understand the program, when you're ready to get your SFSP or CACFP at-risk program rolling, you'll want to reach out to your state agency program specialist. They can point you to their application process and guide you to being a successful site or sponsor. So we're going to take a second right now to show you how to locate your state agency contacts on our website. So you'll start here on the home page for each respective program. I'm using the summer program as a demonstration, but the CACFP page has an identical layout. Scroll about a third of the way down the page and you'll see a green bar that reads IMA, and you'll have a few options there. Even if you're not a program operator yet, you're seeking information that a program operator would need, so you'll just click that. And this will take you to a program operator information page. Along the left side of the page, you'll see a navigation bar. Click State Contacts. That's going to take you to the State Agency Contacts page. And you can use a drop-down menu to search for your state and find the contacts to help you get your SFSP or CACFP on the roll. So I'm the closer here. We hope you're all really jazzed about the ideas we've presented here today and want to keep the momentum going. Before we leave this slide, we want you to take just a moment to jot down at least one action that you can take towards determining if you'd like to become an SFSP or CACFP at-risk sponsor or site. That might be visiting our website to look at the resources or contacting your state agency's SFSP or CACFP specialist. While you're thinking about that, we want to let you know that right now is the perfect time of year to begin planning for this summer. So don't delay. Make a call to your state contact soon and you'll have plenty of time to get your program together. Thank you. And now I'd like to pass this over to the Office of Community Food Systems.
Thanks, Melissa and Venica. Again, I'm Pascal with the Office of Community Food Systems, and my colleague Stephanie and I will be providing an overview of the Farm to School program along with resources and support for improving health and learning outcomes for families. The USDA Office of Community Food Systems works to support farm-to-school activities across the country by providing grants, conducting research, and offering training and technical assistance. So what is farm to school? The term farm to school includes a variety of activities that connect children with the source of their food, improve health and education outcomes, and inspire youth towards careers in agriculture. These activities might include hands-on education, school gardens, taste tests, farm field trips, and local food procurement. Agricultural education brings farm to school alive through experiential learning opportunities, such as by growing plants in the classroom or school gardens, tasting new specialty crops, or visiting local farms. Kids can get their hands dirty and learn more about where their foods come from by building or maintaining gardens. Gardens are also a great way to involve parents and guardians who can volunteer to do garden maintenance or participate in educational events in the garden. Engaging kids in the process of preparing meals or taste tests with fresh products gives them a significant role in the meal program and encourages them to try new foods. And lastly, trips to the farm, farmers market, or garden can strengthen relationship with producers, teach kids about where their foods come from, and introduce them to careers in agriculture. Early childhood is the ideal time to establish healthy eating habits. Farm to preschool efforts work to connect early childhood care and education settings to local food producers with the objectives of serving locally grown, healthy foods to young children and providing related food and nutrition education. Incorporating seasonal and locally produced foods is included as best practice in the Child and Adult Care Food Program meal pattern. Summer is a fantastic time of the year to add variety and serve locally sourced meals that taste great. Across the country, summer meal programs align well with the peak growing season, allowing schools and nonprofit organizations to benefit from increased access to local foods and agricultural activities. Farm to School benefits everyone from students to teachers, parents, and producers. Connecting communities to their local farmers, ranchers, and fishers builds stronger ties within the community and a culture of appreciation for those who grow our food. Farm to School introduces students to agriculture career paths. As America's farmers retire, our nation's food supply depends on more young people entering the field of agriculture. Farm to School inspires young people to consider careers in agriculture and food systems. USDA Food and Nutrition Service operates the Farm to School grant program, which supports schools, state and local agencies, nonprofit organizations, producers, and Indian tribal organizations in implementing and expanding farm-to-school efforts. On an annual basis, USDA awards competitive farm-to-school grants to support planning, developing, and implementing state, regional, and local farm-to-school programs. USDA's farm-to-school grants are an important way to help initiate, expand, and institutionalize farm-to-school efforts. Since the program's inception in 2013, USDA has awarded over $52 million towards the Farm to School grant, funding a total of 719 projects across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, and Puerto Rico, reaching almost 21 million students in 47,000 schools. For the Farm to School grant have grown exponentially over the past few years, and we expect 2021 to be another historic level of awards. The fiscal year 2021 request for application closed on January 8th, and we're working to award funds this summer. Please be on the lookout for the fiscal year 2022 RFA in the upcoming fall. Grantees include school districts, Indian tribal organizations, nonprofit, agricultural producers, and state or local agencies. I would like to point out that OCFS has awarded public housing authorities in the category of state or local agencies. These include the following. Stamford Housing Authority, located in Stamford, Connecticut, was awarded a planning grant in 2020. The project planned to engage Stamford High School students and food system stakeholders in advancing youth food security through improving access to fresh, local food in schools. Another example is Winder Housing Authority, located in Winder, Georgia, which was awarded an implementation grant in 2019. This project planned to feature technical training for local producers and school garden managers on food safety and post-harvest handling and storage, as well as culinary training for the Barrows County School System nutrition staff on how to use fresh from the farm produce in the school cafeteria. Additionally, this collaboration effort proposes to further enhance farm-to-school activities and experiential education opportunities for students by developing basic infrastructure and farm plans for an 89 acres property donated to the Barrow County School System. Public housing authorities have the unique opportunity and community connection to host a variety of farm-to-school activities, and we highly encourage you and your staff to consider pursuing a farm-to-school grant, especially during these challenging times. My colleague Stephanie Roberts will now share examples on how some of our farm-to-school grantees have pivoted their farm-to-school activities to continue to feed and educate children and families during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, Pascal. It has been amazing to see the extraordinary actions many of our farm-to-school grantees are taking to ensure that all Americans, especially children, get the food they need during this pandemic. Building strong and resilient local food systems, supporting farmers, and educating kids and communities about how to grow their food is more important than ever. The following examples will provide insight on how farm-to-school grantees have taken creative actions to shift their projects during the pandemic to elevate gardening and food production, pivot agricultural education to virtual and at-home opportunities, and bolster local procurement. USDA encourages food production and education through many types of gardens, farms, hydro or aquaponics, even raising animals, by providing grant funding, guidance, and resources. Many of our farm-to-school grantees are working hard to ensure school gardens continue to thrive even while campuses are closed. The fiscal year 2020 implementation grantee, the School District of Erie Public Schools, has pivoted their Erie Farm-to-School program in Pennsylvania to produce a more sustainable method of providing their Harvest of the Month lessons. They've produced video lessons for students K through 5 across 10 elementary schools that include an introduction to the Harvest of the Month item while touring the school gardens. They provide mindful meditation with nutrition highlights and visits to local farm or farmers markets, including a career connection. Adult volunteers have been caring for the school gardens while students have not been on campus due to COVID. Many of our farm-to-school grantees have embraced change and pivoted their agricultural education programming to meet the needs of students doing virtual at-home learning. Urban Roots is a nonprofit based in Reno, Nevada that works to change the way kids eat and learn. Their 2019 Farm to School Implementation Grant supports serving over 1,000 low-income tribal youth at 2 schools in their area and 2 after-school program sites for the Reno Sparks colonies. Their original plan was to build gardens, conduct lessons on location every week, and host families at school gardens for family evenings. Due to the pandemic, in the spring of 2020, they had to shift from the on-site agricultural activities and focus on creating a more robust home activity kit to engage families. Due to the success of these new kits, they created a summer camp in a box, which included a week's worth of agricultural education activities. The activities were translated into Spanish, and they provided all the materials for hands-on, home-based gardening activities. Urban Roots is currently offering virtual gardening classes, a video library with virtual tours of their farm, as well as farm-to-school curriculum for K through 8th graders that are currently learning at home. You can find all their activities on their website. Their website is listed on the slide. And just as a reminder, all participants will be receiving these slides as a PDF after today's webinar, and you can access all of the links we've been sharing. Finally, I'd like to share an example of 2 farm-to-school grantees who are embracing sourcing locally and increasing family access to local foods, even as schools adopt virtual learning and take-home meal models. With support from the Washington State Department of Agriculture, school districts in Washington continue to serve nutritious meals to children and support local farms. For example, the Concrete School District partnered with United General District 304 to provide meal kits with foods from local farms along with school meal distribution. Families had the opportunity to cook and serve fresh recipes at home. In addition to the recipes, some of the vegetables provided in the meal kits included rhubarb, broccoli, salad greens, and garlic. One parent noted, "With the meal kits, we could take a risk and try something new. With watching our food budget, I wouldn't normally explore new foods." Hopefully, these examples of farm-to-school grantees have provided some inspiration on how to implement farm-to-school activities at your public housing sites, even during these challenging times. As we mentioned, FNS offers resources and technical assistance on a variety of topics. We'd like to share a few that we think would be helpful to your audiences. One of our primary strategies for institutionalizing this work involves building partnerships and strengthening regional networks. To this end, FNS has 7 regional offices around the country. In each office, a staff member is dedicated to supporting farm-to-school efforts in their region through training, technical assistance, and collaboration. You can visit the link on this slide for additional contact information for each particular region. We offer many technical assistance resources online. OCFS has developed more than 20 fact sheets to support various farm-to-school stakeholders. From farm to summer to gardens and tribal communities, we offer fact sheets on a wide variety of farm-to-school topics. In addition to OCFS resources, Team Nutrition has several resources to connect nutrition education to school and child care gardens, local farms, and farmers markets. Schools, summer sites, and child care centers, homes, and sponsors that participate in the USDA child nutrition programs may request free printed copies of many of these materials. To receive farm-to-school grant updates and other relevant farm-to-school news and resources, be sure to subscribe to our monthly e-newsletter, The Dirt. as you can see, there's a lot of great work and innovation going on in the farm-to-school community. And every day there are new examples of how farm-to-school programs adapt and thrive despite the challenges. This is a very creative, committed, and resilient community. Thank you all so much for your time today. If you have any questions regarding the Office of Community Food Systems resources or our Farm-to-School grant program, please don't hesitate to contact us. So we'd now like to take time for the questions that have been coming in through the chat. And again, please feel free to ask myself and Pascal questions about the Farm-to-School grant program, as well as Vanika and Melissa questions about CACFP, summer meals, etc. And I know we already have a few questions. I'm going to go back to the questions that were towards the beginning of the presentation for Vanika and Melissa. So ladies, our first question, what is a sponsor agency? Is this the Housing Authority or a partner organization to the Housing Authority?
So Stephanie, I'll take that one. This is Melissa. The answer to that one is yes and yes. A sponsoring organization can be a housing authority, or housing authority can be a sponsoring organization, or it can be another organization in the community that wants to partner with a housing authority. We got another question that's similar, so I'll kind of roll that in, and that is, can a housing authority be a sponsor or a site? Absolutely. The housing authority can be the sponsor or can be the feeding site. So I'm just going to clarify a little bit because I can tell we need some clarification here. The sponsoring organization is the organization that manages the summer food service program or the CACFP at-risk site, either just for a summer or year-round if they decide to do at-risk and summer. And the sponsor manages everything, so they're responsible for the finances and the reimbursement. They hire staff and supervise them. They monitor the performance of the site. They usually do all the food purchasing or preparation or working with the food service management company to get meals made. They're really the overall manager of the whole thing, whereas a site is a place where the meals are delivered and served. The kids go to that site to eat, and the site will provide some entertainment or activities. So the site, being a site is kind of an entry-level way to experience the summer food service program. It's a way to check it out and see how it feels to have the summer food service program at maybe a particular housing estate. But for a sponsor, that's really where you're in charge of it. You have an agreement with the state agency. You've applied with the state agency to be responsible. So two different things. And someone did ask, so if I want to do this, how do I get some stakeholders to do this with me? That's a fantastic question. You never want to do this alone. If you're a sponsor, you have to find some sites, right? And so that's where you reach out to your state agency's summer food service program specialist. They'll let you know what's going on in your community. They'll introduce you to the application process for being a sponsor or a site, and they'll really help you every step of the way.
Excellent. Thank you, Melissa. Another question for you ladies was related to COVID. How can I distribute meals during COVID in a safe way?
Thanks, Stephanie. I can take that. And I definitely understand that, COVID and getting meals to children safely has been a continued concern, and it's definitely, if not the biggest, I can't think of another concern that we are constantly trying to address through our programs. So we currently offer some flexibilities that we mentioned for to-go meals. So kids or parents can come to sites, get the meals, and take them to eat someplace safe. However, as we mentioned a little bit earlier in the presentation, these flexibilities are set to expire this summer, and we don't know yet if we'll have the same flexibilities that we're using now, continue to be available past that summer date. So this is why we're really encouraging you all to go ahead and apply for these programs now. When you begin the application process with your state SFSP or CACFP specialist, they'll be able to keep you abreast of all of those updates on how the programs are going to be run going forward so that you know how you can continue to offer those meals in a safe environment. So thank you so much for that question and for keeping the health of all of the young people and everyone involved in delivering these meals in mind.
Great. Thanks, Vanika. We had a few other questions about being able to access the links that we've shared in the presentation. So just as a reminder, everyone that's registered for the presentation today will receive a follow-up email with links to the recording and a PDF of the slides. So you'll be able to access all of the links we shared. A question for Pascal and I. Someone had asked about farm to school nutrition education resources. So if we can go back to slide 56, USDA Team Nutrition has excellent nutrition, they have nutrition education resources, not only garden resources, but they have resources that cover all of the school meal programs. So I would definitely encourage going to the FNS website and going to the Team Nutrition site for resources. You can also connect through your state agencies to see if there's any state-specific resources. For Farm to School, I would also recommend Harvest of the Month. Most states have a great Harvest of the Month program. There's lots of resources online. So those are just a few examples of some Farm to School nutrition education resources. And Pascal, we had a question about deadline for the program application. So I think that's for the Farm to School grant program. So do you want to share when the recent grant closed and when the upcoming grant will open?
Sure. If it is about the Farm to School grant program, it recently closed in January, and we are, like I mentioned earlier, we're out in the process of going through a panel, and we'll make an awards this summer. The next application, the next request for application will be released in the fall. Usually we release the RFA in October. So, but as as Stephanie also mentioned, please make sure to sign up for our newsletter, The Dirt, so you can get information when the RFA is released.
Great. And then Maria Lana, question for you on grants. How can my low-income housing community obtain a grant to have a gathering area built to have the summer feeding program on site?
Okay, great. That's a good one. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So a couple of things. You possibly, I say possibly, can use your capital improvement funding, but you'll need to obviously check with HUD just to clarify. But also my experience and what we see mostly is that the Housing Authority will partner, will seek a partnership or reach out to local partners or churches or like your Home Depot, which also has a program to help low-income communities build small spaces, such as, what you're referring to, feeding stations potentially. Check into those resources, but also you'll be surprised what community partners do when you put out a call to show up with a few, some lumber and or pavilion-like materials to get the whole community involved as though you would actually build a community garden. So, start in a local community, reach out to some of your partners, but definitely check out places or companies like the Home Depot or a local hardware store who may be interested in donating materials and staff to help you build your pavilion. Oh, and also there's a great resource for serving youth. It's a federal website. It's www.youth.gov That's the federal website for entities that serve children and youth. If you look on that, you can actually do a mapping exercise and key in building space, common space for, recreational space in your community for children and youth. Something may come up that might be helpful to you as far as grants.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, back to community meals. Can you ladies jump in on the SFSP application deadline?
Sure, I'll take that one. For the summer food service program, the deadline for applications, that is for turning in an application packet to become a sponsor, is on June 15th. However, every state agency can actually set a deadline that is a little bit sooner. That's the last possible date, June 15th. I would suggest making sure, if you even have an inkling of an interest, going ahead and getting in touch with your state summer specialist. First, check out the deadline, get the application packet, and get started on it right away, just in case. It's a big packet, so you don't want to delay. For the CACFP at-risk, we don't have a deadline for that, but once again, your state agency may. So go ahead and get in touch and check out that packet and see when they would like to have it in.
Great, thank you. Another question. Instead of becoming a designated place where we host these programs year-round, is there a way that we can be a site that is often used for meal handouts? Can we volunteer our site?
That is a yes, and it depends on the circumstances that are going on. Like, if you contact the state agency for the summer food service program and you'd like to be a site, this is nice and early in the year. They probably could add you as a site for someone who's already a sponsor. And you can designate how many weeks you'd like to participate during the summer. You don't necessarily have to go all summer long. So yeah, you could do have some meals, do meal distributions occasionally. And for the CACFP at-risk program, that's currently doing food distributions, like a pickup meal distribution, like Vanika and I mentioned, that may not continue beyond June 30th. But those sites are doing pickup. And so if you feel like you'd like to volunteer for that, you can go ahead and contact the state. It's kind of late in the year right now because the school year is going to be winding up, probably mid-June in most places, but it's worth asking.
Great. And another SFSP question. Our PHA does the summer food program each year. However, there are no activities. Do we have to have activities for the program?
So I will go ahead and take that. So there actually is no activity requirement for the summer food service program, which is not to be confused with the CACFP at-risk program, which does have an activity requirement. We actually currently are offering some flexibilities around how that activity can be delivered. But again, you're going to have to keep up with your state agency specialists who can help get you oriented to when those flexibilities will be available to you. But for the summer food service program, no, there is not an activity requirement. However, we definitely encourage having an activity there because I'm sure the kids would really enjoy having something fun to look forward to when they're getting their meals. But that's just something that you can offer as feasible. Great. There was a general question. I'm not sure which program they're asking about, but how long is the duration of the funds? So do you all want to cover summer meals and CACFP, and then we'll talk about farm to school grants?
I can take that for summer and CACFP. So I might not understand the question correctly, but for SFSP and CACFP funding, it happens through reimbursement. So when you run the program, you serve the meal, and then you turn in a reimbursement form that shows how many meals you served, and then you're reimbursed a flat amount for each meal served. So you don't necessarily get funds just for particular operating costs. You get it per meal. And then once you get that reimbursement, then you're able to pay your staff, pay for your food, that kind of thing. And those funds don't really have an expiration date if they go into your account. But they're available as long as you're participating in the program and you're serving meals and getting reimbursed for them. I hope that was helpful. If that doesn't answer the question, go ahead and give us some more detail in the chat box and we'll get back with you.
I think that covered it. That was great. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, this is Pascal. If this question was meant for the Farm to School grant program, the funds, usually the application are for 12 or 24 months. So if you do apply for a Farm to School grant, you can do a program for 12 months or 24 months. And with COVID now, we do offer a no-cost extension. So if with COVID we need to adjust and extend the program, we do have the opportunity also for grantees.
Great. And Pascal, another question related to the Farm to School grant. Can the Farm to School grant support the build out of space?
So not space. So the Farm to School grant program focuses on initiating and implementing and planning for Farm to School activities. So not build out of space, but it does help with building out a garden. So it is not a construction grant. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. So when you do review the RFA, you'll see all the details. So it will not help build out the space. But if you don't have the space, or if you work with a school, or you have an area where you can offer Farm to School activity, definitely will help you build that out. But not, I shouldn't say build because it sounds like it's construction, but it'll help you get that going. But the Farm to School grant is not a construction grant. So I want to make sure that you're not going to get to build a office, a building, or things like that. And I think there was a question about the cap. We have different grant types. So depending on the grant type, there's a different cap. So highly recommend when the RFA comes out to review it and see which one you qualify for.
Thanks, Pascal. And Maria Lana, do you want to add anything to the question about building space?
Yes, sure. So I kind of wanted to just offer some food for thought. We have noticed that several public housing authorities across the country, especially during COVID, during this pandemic, have actually used their existing community spaces, the outdoor spaces nearby those facilities. They have also partnered with the local schools in the community to be able to set up your meals program nearby and also near the federally qualified health clinics. I'm just giving examples of some common spaces where residents tend to walk in and out of those doors for services. So if you have any of those opportunities, and again, I mentioned earlier a faith-based institute, faith-based or nonprofit building or nearby, if you cannot build out or you don't have access to a grant, please don't let that prohibit you from getting meals to families, because I have found that public housing authorities have been very creative and actually and resilient at using what's before them on land, what's in front of them or nearby, resident community facilities, and so forth. And so that, just giving you some food for thought on, what's available spacing-wise. Again, I'm happy after this call to follow up with anyone to offer further information as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Ladies, have I missed any questions? I think I went through the whole list, but it's a long one. I think we covered everything. We got one specific question about the in garden site areas, does the Farm School grant cover soil testing? Pascal, I would think the RFA would be the best place to find specific information like that, especially since there'll be a new RFA coming up in the fall. But did you want to add anything to that?
No, that's great. Great answer.
Okay. Yeah. So you can access this. Is the previous RFA still posted, Pascal? The one that just closed?
Probably on grants.gov, but I would highly recommend that you review the upcoming RFA because we make changes every year. Yeah.
Okay, great. Anything else? All right. I can turn it back to Maria Lana. Do you want to close us out?
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone and all of these great questions that have come in. There's obviously a lot of enthusiasm out there and, the will to help families during this time and to get those meals to our children and families. I'm just very excited, as always, that the housing authorities are always thinking about ways to help and to be creative during this time. So thank you all, and please, please, please follow up with these links. These are phenomenal programs, and I think that they will serve you well. And I think that you will enjoy yourselves in this process because what's better than helping families and being creative and getting meals to them, just meeting families where they are. So thank you all, and I'd like to thank my team on behalf of HUD at USDA. We have a history of partnering with USDA for summer meals, year-round programs, and now this additional farm-to-school program. And so, with that, I will leave it at that. We're happy to send you, as we mentioned earlier, the recording and the slide deck so that you can follow up and get online and register for these programs. So thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining our conference, and thank you for using Event Services. Your conference has ended, and you may disconnect.